Yo, 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 this is the Rizzo Diz Hill. We are back, baby, and better than ever. Sorry, I almost butchered that. How you guys
It's okay.
doing?
Super special awesome as always, man.
Super special, awesome as
As
always.
always. I don't have a choice. It's not an option. I just have to do this every day.
Yo, 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 this
It's
okay,
it's
this
it's
is
a, it's a
getting
lie.
kind of
But you're
It's a
right.
dark.
lie. I want you to know.
Daquan, if you're trapped in your room right now, blink twice. Like, are you okay?
Brother. And Allie, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, that is so good to hear that everybody's doing well and wonderful and
Mhm.
super special awesome. How's
Matt, how are you doing?
I am doing okay. Never
Oh,
better, never worse.
just
Mm.
Just baseline. Barely alive.
do.
I'm like a worm dangling on a fish net that won't catch a fish
Worms don't dangle on fish nets.
on a fish
Always on the
line.
hook. Yeah, there we go. That's a better one. Thank you.
I'm
That
like
was one
that.
of my
I'm like the worm that's there, and I keep getting cast out, and then come back. Keep getting cast out, and I come back, and they like,
sounds like
dang.
you.
Matt Bracy, blink twice if you're okay.
Okay,
No.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Was you about to
Yeah.
say something?
Ooh.
Or you just
Ooh.
hopped in,
No,
bro?
I'm just sitting there going, just kept catching in, just
Okay.
we're in a nice, dark, cool place, and I like it. I like the vibe. I
That's
like
right.
this.
Yeah. Allie, how's the week been for you, Allie?
I think I'm like supporting the group right now, which like I don't like because out of all of us, I am the least mentally stable.
Ha!
So like,
Debatable. Debatable. I don't know.
I think that is very debatable.
okay.
Interesting.
Now, okay, know what? Now we got to figure this out. Who, who,
Who
where
is the
everyone's
least
stability level?
mentally stable
Mentally stable.
of all
How
of
are we
us?
doing this? How are we doing this?
Interesting. Yeah, because there's a lot that goes into mental stability.
There is, and I want to see. I want to see where our lines are.
I would say I'm like a castle that's being held together by band-aids. Yes. Very, very tough exterior. Very, very nice presenting.
Oh,
But
you still trying to hold the castle together, man?
yeah, but I'm
That's
holding
nice.
the castle
No,
together with band-aids, yeah.
no. I envision myself as an elaborate glass fixture. Like I did a whole blown glass thing, and it was nice, and it was whole elaborate. And then I just smashed it because I was like, it got chipped, and I was like, well, it's already chipped, so it's ruined. And so I don't want anyone to think it's ruined. So I just keep breaking it and breaking it and breaking it until it all looks like dust. Because if it all looks like dust, that's intentional.
And Allie, how are you?
No, I think I'm the most mentally
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
oh brother, it'd be nice if our jobs were mentally stable. Okay, now that we are recovered from that whiplash, today we are talking about working and the workforce.
And I would like to note that
Yeah.
I am currently happy. I enjoy every second that I go to work. It's a wonderful place. And I continue to go there every day.
Yeah, Daquan blinked 3 times.
I'm blinking. Should have said it.
If your supervisor is currently watching this.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? I thought we were friends. I thought we were cool. I thought we had our best interests at heart. Why would you
It's okay.
put me in this predicament?
It's okay.
You know?
My lips are sealed. It's okay.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, cool. Thank you. Just want to have the caveat out there just in case, Got to cross my T's, dot my I's.
That's right. Okay, so
what are we talking about?
today I want to talk about an article that I read recently. I'll see if I can find it and I'll post it while we're chatting. But I read an article that talked about how the new generation is lazy. And Daquan also posted something yesterday or a couple days ago
Yeah, I think it was like yesterday.
about how many people, that's actually a pretty common statement by the older generation, that the newer generation is lazy. And so I just think it's something that I wanted to chat about because I had a really really good conversation about this just the other day with a very pleasant man. And it was enlightening. It was nice. He was an older fellow. But we were talking about this idea of the new generation, and we kind of went back and forth on how they we're talking about Generation Z mostly, and how they're entering the workforce and entering college and such and such, and how they have this bizarre level of emotional intelligence and mental health awareness, but they also lack like a general resilience, which is very interesting. Like socially, they lack a general resilience, and so I'm just kind of curious about what everybody's thoughts on how what the different generations are, and kind of like we know kind of how they're all set up, and in general how people look at the various generations. Right now the baby boomers are, I'm not saying starting to die out, but they're definitely in retirement
They're
age,
getting ready, bro.
and some of
Look,
them
man.
are starting to die out. And so
Fine.
yeah,
They've had
they're
it too good for too long.
right. So there's usually, 4 to 5 generations alive, at a time. And so I'm curious what everybody's perspectives are on the various generations that are out and kicking right now, and then their relation to like work and working.
Allie?
I have so many thoughts on this. So like,
Go ahead.
Great.
I saw it.
let them all out. Okay, my first couple of thoughts are when I managed a studio, my boss she's definitely part of a baby boomer generation, and she would always say to me, like, don't work more than 40 hours, blah blah blah, but then would message me all hours, expect me to like come in early or stay late, and like kind of have these really unrealistic expectations of what I was supposed to do in my role, but then go back and be like, well, why did you work overtime? Stuff like that, which was really frustrating and like really hard to figure out how to like successfully do my role when she didn't have great like expectations or whatever. On the flip side of that, like when I would interview people or have to have like interventions with like my staff, there was a script that she wanted us to follow of like how like how to reprimand somebody. And so we had this girl who was like in her interview told us that she like struggles with her mental illness, she sees a therapist, but she was diagnosed with like bipolar disorder, and she's like on medication for it. Like you said, very straightforward and very like aware of her like mental illness. And I was like, great, we can work with that. But then like it was affecting her performance, and so I had to have like a talk with her about it. And like I'm reading this script, but like personally I'm like, I don't think I agree with what I'm saying here, but like I have to say this as part of these like rules. And like halfway through this like not interview, but like sit down with her, she was like, Allie, I have like bipolar disorder, like I can't change that, like you can't just expect that to go away, like this is real for me, like you need to change what you're doing about this situation, because I'm doing all I can right now. And I was like, oh my god, I totally agree with you, like you're so right, what my solution is not what's great, and like you are being super straightforward. And so her being like brave enough to be like, no, like this is real, like this is how it is for me. And then me, like I have a lot of respect, because she was like 18, 19 when she was saying this.
Yeah.
But also like dang, like that, I don't know, it was a really like surreal situation.
So let's take that for example. In this situation, what do you feel is the best way forward in a situation like that? Like, do you feel what is you think it will be the optimal work solution for that from a company or employer's perspective? What should they do in response to that? Because I think that I don't know. I view it differently. I want to see. I'm curious to see what you think and what Bracy thinks about it.
So I see like my boss's side where we need like a standard of like how every employee should be. And I do think that I don't necessarily think there should be like a standard that is set across the board because everybody is the same. But I think that the output of like production needs to be the same, if that makes sense. So there's things that we could do to like accommodate her that the team still functioned fine. And as long as the team is okay with that, like, I don't want to say discrepancy or like disbalance, but as long as the team still functions and there's a good culture about it, then it's fine. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Bracy, what do you think?
Well, for me, I view work culture as kind of like a puzzle that is a blank puzzle. Like you're somebody it's like puzzle pieces, but the puzzle pieces don't have anything on them. And so when you're trying to craft or if you're the CEO or if you're a manager and you're trying to craft a work team, and I'm only saying this as somebody who's spent the last several years supervising college students. Culture plays a huge role, and you have to be extremely intentional about the culture that you create. And so for me, I always start with what is it that I want to get out of the people that I hire. So when I was working at Western, I still work at Western, but I'm not a supervisor right now. When I was working at Western, I always thought to myself, okay, so I want my staff to be mentally resilient. That's one thing. I want them to get all of their stuff done. That's the second thing. Because if they don't get their stuff done, the program doesn't happen. And those are like, I need the program to happen. And the program is tough, so I need them to be mentally resilient to make it through the program. So like for me, I was like, those are the two things that I need from my student employees. From there, there's other things that I would like, but if they don't happen, that's okay. Like I can survive. And so what I'm talking about are my latitudes of acceptance and the things that I'm willing to give up on. And so when I hire people, I'm hiring, personalities, diversity of personalities, and trying to figure out what people bring to the table. And then I start crafting a work culture around the individuals that I hire that promote those two things. And so if I want people to be mentally resilient, then I'm trying to find ways to both toughen them up and let them know that there's a support network for them. And so if they feel like they need to take a mental health day, then I want them to feel comfortable and confident to come to me and let me know to take a mental health day. However, I'm also giving them tasks that are forcing them to like quote unquote toughen up. And you can ask any of my student employees that I've hired over the years. Like all of them will say probably the hardest job I've had while I was in college. Possibly the hardest job they'll have for the next 10 years out of college. But that's intentional. Like I'm trying to make it a hard job, but I'm not trying to beat them down. I'm trying to let them know.
You're not mean or a bully about it.
Yeah, it's like a muscle. Like I'm trying to do little tiny
Mm.
tears and then let it repair itself. Little tiny tears and let it repair itself. I'm not trying to
Can
just
I
rip
have
them apart.
can I have some specific examples? Because I'm having a hard time like following what.
Ooh, that's good. Okay, so here's one for instance. So I at the beginning, this is actually I really like this. At the beginning of me hiring the students for this 2 years ago, um, I need them to be able to run a training without me being present. So we're hiring 200 student employees, and I need this group of 10 student employees to feel comfortable and confident in running a training with peers, and make sure that they feel like their authority, but also make sure that they understand that they're the same age. It's okay to have fun and not overshadow and like pin other people down, especially since they're your age. However, we want them to look at you as authority figures. And so what I did was I asked them to create a presentation. The presentation had to be 5 minutes, and it could be about anything. Like it could literally be about whatever they wanted. And I told them specifically I wanted it to not feel like homework. So if that means that your presentation is on ice cream, then make a presentation on ice cream. There was 2 criteria. One, the presentation had to be at least 5 minutes, and it had to cover a specific topic or of their choice. Two, it had to have an activity associated with it, and the activity could be anything. And so one of the students chose cheese, and they gave a presentation on different types of cheese. And then at the end, we did a cheese testing. And I really enjoyed that. I was like, this is so cool. And like they all present one, and then at our staff meetings. And so that we would take up a portion of our staff meeting each week for several weeks, and they would do a presentation. And so the goal is I've heard this said before, like when people say if you think they're talking, what is it? If you think it's about you, if it's advice, if it's advice
What
that
do you say?
I'm trying to think. I think it's like if it's advice about somebody else, it's advice about you or something like that. Like essentially, when they're presenting and I'm giving them feedback, like it's feedback for everybody, not just them. And I told them that.
So the last presentation should be amazing.
Should be amazing, phenomenal. And if it's not, that's okay. Like it's still a learning experience. And so we would do this every single week until they were like perfect presenters, and they could get in front of groups and do a presentation and lead a training without fear, because this is stuff that they know, like we spend the whole year mastering this schedule and mastering these programs and running all these trainings and stuff. So they should know it the same way they know cheese or Harry Styles or butterflies. Like these are some of the presentations that we got, but like they should know it that well, And so yes, it's a fun thing, and I'm kind of tricking them a little bit, but like they got it. And they get it as they do it.
Okay, interesting.
I know I'm an excellent supervisor. What can I say?
Oh, okay, calm down. So I don't know. Me personally, I've avoided trying to actually like manage people because I hate it. But a lot of, for example, when you were describing the experience you had, Ali, a lot of what I initially thought of is that for me, everything is essentially a contract. I'm going to sit there and like, look, I'm the type of person where I'm very goal oriented. I don't really care what happens in between. If
Mhm.
you do the thing, I'll be like, okay, fine, whatever. We'll work with that. And I very much meet people where they are. I don't mind sitting there and being like, okay, this is what you're going through. All right, let's figure this out. I'm gonna do this. Can you work with this? Okay, cool. As long as the end goal is achieved, none of that other stuff matters. And I'm very much, how can I put this? The vibe I probably give off is very much cold when it comes to getting the task and everything done. But on a personal level, I'm very much approachable and there for people.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like, okay, we have to get this done, it's like, oh my goodness, this sucks. And I'm like, yeah, it sucks, but life is pain. Let's move on. And they'll sit there and look at me, and I'll go and I'll get in the trenches with you, but it will just be like, yeah, we're in the trenches. Yeah, everything sucks, but the finish line is over there. I have to go to the finish line, so I'm going to drag you, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just very interesting. And this goes into more so like the difference if you want to go to the different generations. I had a conversation with my mom one time, and we were talking about just the employee and employer relationship, where to her, and my mom is more of like a Gen Xer, and so to her, the mentality is that anytime you are an employee, if you as an employer ask your employee to do something, the expectation is to try to do that thing regardless of what it is. And for her, she didn't understand how millennials or Gen Zers will just be like, no, I can't do that. Like that was just like a foreign concept to her.
Yeah,
And I
that's
and
so
I was
funny.
explaining yeah, and I was explaining to her is like, because we get asked unreasonable things that aren't possible, where they'll sit there and be like, we need you to do all this stuff, and it's like, I am just me. The things you're asking me to do are not possible. It's not possible for this to happen, but you keep pushing forward like, oh well, we can do it. And I'm like, no, it doesn't matter how much good positive energy and vibes you put in the air, certain things are not possible.
Yeah. And there's a few things that have changed throughout the generations. One, millennials were the first generation that made less than their predecessors. Two, the death of pensions. Many jobs don't have pensions anymore, which is really interesting. And then three, like you said, the employee-employer relationship. I would take it a step further and say the concept of supervision has changed. And so where before a supervisor was just a manager, they just made sure the work got done. And now a supervisor is almost looked at as like a big brother, big sister role, where your goal is to...
Just so weird.
Yeah,
like, is that weird?
Your goal is to like mend and grow and help and support and get them to like become better versions of themselves almost. And I don't hate it. I think it's very fascinating. But
I hate that.
But a lot of people
hate
do
that
it
with a
really
passion.
bad. I think a lot of people
Yeah,
do it
I was
really
gonna say,
bad.
It's a cool concept if you've had the training and know how to successfully do it. And if you don't, then that's when you see like groups of people like quit at a time, or like
Yes.
the sign on the front of the door like, we hate you, Amy, we all quit.
Yeesh, dang, sorry, Amy.
But here's the thing. I feel that is really weird because it's very disingenuous to what our actual relationship is. Like, how can I put it? As a manager, as a supervisor, as whatever things, sure, could I have the people under me's intention at heart? Sure. But more likely than not, I have my own goals and things that I have to move forward towards. And those things aren't inherently aligned with the benefit and growth of the people who I'm kind of charged with. Like,
I would argue against that just slightly. And the only reason I say that is because we've had, so like Disney, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Disney has this motto of we don't serve our customers, we serve our employees.
Mm-hmm.
And by serving your employees, you serve your customers. Because if your employees feel like they're part of a family that supports them,
Mm-hmm.
they'll perform better. And, which is
But
very,
what that is, but
yeah,
what I want to say there is what that is not the reason why they do that is not because we want these people to perform this. It's solely because I want you to perform better. I want you to
right,
perform longer. It has been proven that
right,
a lot of these tactics are made to make your employees work longer, harder, and just do
right,
things that normally.
Brainwashing for sure.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's
right.
disingenuous. It's like I don't.
It's like here's a carrot, and you're gonna like the carrot, and you're gonna work harder because I gave you a carrot. But it is still manipulation. So it's like it's interesting.
It's just I find I would much rather just sit there and say, "Hey, we want you to do this. These are the things we care about. Anything else doesn't matter." And I'll be like, "Are you okay with that?" I'll be like, "Yeah, all right, cool." And then I'll go and execute. Leave me alone. Like that's all I want. That's the relationship I want. Also, and we could keep going on. Another thing I wanted to talk to because you were saying different changes that we've seen in the generations. Another thing that we've seen is people of the younger generations don't stay with a company for a long time.
Yes, that's
Like,
great. That's a great
and
point.
like for example, I just hit my 5 year at my current job, and when I did that, I was like, this feels weird. I feel like I should just leave. I feel like I need to go do something different, and I'm like, I don't necessarily have to. Things aren't bad. There's no reason for me to do that, but it's just one of those like 5 years is a long time for me to just be here.
Well, I think so. So what you're touching on, I think, is a cultural shift, and I think it's due to a few different things. So with the death of pensions, people have less incentive to stay with companies longer, and I think that there's kind of two parts. I think there's kind of two populations. One are people who are trying to simply there's trying to attain what the older generations have in that security, money, whatever, you know. And so they're literally just jumping from one job to the next job, trying to work their way up as fast as they can. And I think this is how we end up with a lot of really crappy supervisors.
I would agree.
Because I mean, even I know several people who work for people who are supervisors, and like I've had supervisors who I've worked there, and they've never said, "What kind of environment do you work well in?" Never once asked me. And like that's a pretty simple. Like you would find out pretty quickly the kind of environment I thrive in, and if you don't know that, you're intentionally forcing me to work in an environment that I don't work well in. And it's not like I'm being unreasonable or, you know, insensible or anything, but I think it's pretty reasonable as a decent supervisor. When you hire people, I think one of the first questions you should ask is, what do you either need from me, or what kind of environment do you work well in? And I think that could take you pretty far for just that one person. And then the second population are people who are just trying to find stability. And I think I would fall into this population where I'm just trying to like be happy, and because I realize that what I'm doing for 8 hours a day, which I have a lot of opinions about, and I want to take the conversation there at some point. But like, I just want to enjoy what I'm doing. Like, I don't want to be doing something for 8 hours and be bored for 8 hours every day. Like, I want to.
Right?
Say again.
or have it be worthless.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are looking for purpose. A lot of people are looking for fun. A lot of people are looking for something that like is more
But
mentally.
yeah, and I would say that that's kind of the difference of the generations, because I don't think the older generations looked or cared about that. They were
Yeah, I would
really
agree.
just the means in the end. Like a lot of the older generations, yeah, they will be like, oh, I'm going to go here for my purpose. You'll have people who do stuff, but I feel like a majority of people really just did jobs because this is what they needed to be stable to provide for their family, et cetera, et cetera. Now, when it comes to the reward system for that, because before the rewards were more, let's say, community based, where because our communities were smaller, you will hold a position in the community. Your job was very much a reflective based on that, where it's like, oh, okay, this is the thing you provide to the community. People know you for this. This is, that validation you would get from it. And we don't necessarily have that anymore. There's no validation from being known in a community, because essentially communities barely exist. Or now I wouldn't say barely exist. Communities, how we organize ourselves as people
Mm-hmm.
currently is solely through the internet and not
Right.
through like
So
actual
communities
physical
have
means.
shifted to be more virtual rather than,
Yes,
rather
more
than
virtual and more based on interest than
vicinity.
locate. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
While you were talking, I was thinking that I want to say there's like a lack of like loyalty to the company, and there's like lack of a community because there's lack of like loyalty or longevity. But I think that like one of the things I can think of that's coming to mind is that like during the 2007-2008 recession, it was like, well, here's my friend's dad that worked at this company for 25 years and they laid him off, and now we have to like foreclose our home. Sorry.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, because
I think, growing up with that, it was like, why would I be loyal to this company if
Yep.
like I can see how quickly like someone's life is destroyed by
Yeah.
it? Like,
and
what?
that is something that we have an exclusive look into, because before this generation, that type of thing wasn't a thing.
Didn't
Like,
happen since the Great Depression, basically.
Depression. And even in the Great Depression, even then, it was still very much I don't want to do this, but literally we don't have any choice. I'm going to be there right with you soon. In the 2000 and all those financial crashes we've seen recently, we saw a lot of, this whole company, family, all this stuff mentality isn't really, you don't care. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
company is a company and you care about your bottom line. And that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. I just want our relationship and the context of my like this agreement to be based on that. Like,
Yeah.
and again, it's not like I'm saying, oh, where I'm just going to come here, do exactly what I'm saying we have written on a contract and then leave. No, I am a very prideful person. When I start a project, when I'm doing something, I'm going to try to make it as best as I can because I want that satisfaction. But, and again, it gets back to the whole management thing. This is why I hate when it's like, oh, I'm trying to grow you, dude. I'm like, no, you're not. You're trying to use me, and I'm fine with that. But please, let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be honest about it.
Yeah,
I
really hope none of my supervisors sees this. They're gonna have a weird conversation. So this is how you feel, and I'm gonna be like, oh god.
What you say, Alan?
I want to talk about the 40-hour work week.
Yes.
That's where we was going.
Yes, I do want to talk about that.
I have a story that I want to lead into it. So my aunt was taking me to the airport a couple weeks ago, and we were talking. And it's like an hour drive, and we were talking about. They have a new bar manager. She works at a theater, and they have a new bar manager. And the bar manager was like, "Listen, I need these days off for my daughter's soccer games or my family things." Or whatever. And my aunt is a workaholic. I love her to death, but she has not shown up to a commitment she's made in like 10 years because something always comes up for work and she misses it, and like that's her life. She works like 80 hours a week. She'll take one day off every 3 months. Like that's her life. I get it. But
does she love what she does?
Yeah, but she also like her house is never clean. She has no social life. She never sees her family. She doesn't eat. You know what I'm saying? Like there's consequences to that.
We could get to it later. Go ahead.
Anyway, so she's having this conversation with this lady saying like, you know, this job is to work 50 hours a week, and if you can't do it, then like we need to find someone else. And all I could like think, like I was thinking, I was like, no one wants to work 50 hours a week. Like, I know that you do, but like I work 30 hours a week, and even sometimes I'm like, kind of feels like a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It is.
you can't ask someone that has 4 kids to work 50 plus hours a week. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
So that's really interesting, and the reason I think it's interesting is because for a very, very, very long time, and when I say long time, I'm talking 12,000 years. For 12,000 years, humans have looked at their jobs, whatever their jobs was, as purpose. And only in the last several decades, really, has purpose shifted away from what you do for 8 hours a day to other things, whether that's spiritual things or something grand. And you know, and then within the last 2 decades, really since millennials have entered the workforce, has purpose really like come outside of the workforce? Not entirely, but almost entirely. There's a lot fewer people. I'm not saying nobody, but there's a lot fewer people who look at their job as their purpose. And a lot of people say my purpose is this specific job. And so they're trying to get that specific job and then make that their purpose, you know, whether that's something like be a musical artist or be a teacher, like things that are, like when you're talking purpose driven and passion driven positions. I think that's really interesting. And so fewer people are finding, and I think that's where the big generation divide is starting to happen, is like some people are just like, what are you talking about? You're lazy because you're not working 40 hours a week. And it's like, yeah, but why would I want to work 40 hours when I could be doing the thing that I was meant to do?
Doing a podcast on Tuesday nights.
True, exactly. I would sit there and add to that yes, that's the whole basis, like Marxist theory is like we are separated from like the fruits of our labor. We don't know. We go through, we toil, we do all this stuff, and to be so completely disconnected from the end product makes us lose that purpose. That's why a lot of places, I don't know if you guys experience it, a lot of corporations, they, in order to try to get people to be more engaged and do it, they'll sit there and be like, okay, this is our end product. We want you to feel like connected to the end product because we know that will make you more tied to this work. You'll feel that sense of purpose, and you'll be like, yes, the work you do is important. It may seem innocuous, but you can make this difference. But when we talk about the 40-hour work week, I would argue that a lot more people would enjoy working more so than you would think. I just think a lot of people don't enjoy their specific line of work.
I agree.
So like, and the 40-hour work week is very crazy. A lot of people be like, oh, how did we come to agree to work 40 hours? It's like, well, 40-hour work week was actually originally made to like
for factories
ease the burden. No, it's not the factories. It was, well, kind of the factories. It was, the factories would be like basically be sun up to sundown.
It started during the Industrial Revolution.
Yes, because everyone was used to working sun up and sundown because we're agriculture. We're working on the fields, doing stuff like that. And so when we shift to factory work, they would do the same thing. And they started the 40-hour work week to condense it because they were like, well, we don't need these people in here all this time. We're going to try to help benefit workers. And there's like a whole bunch of newspaper articles back then talking about, oh my goodness, by shortening it to 40 hours, we're going to sit there, we're going to crash when the business never fails. And there's always businesses. Anytime you fight for like workers' rights or something, they clamor and they be like, oh my goodness, it's going to end the economy, blah, blah, blah. Never happens. And so I feel that a lot of technology, a lot of innovation and things like that have made us be put in a point where 100%, there's never needs to really be a 40-hour work week. A lot of the times people are at their job solely to fill in space, and I think COVID is one of the things that proved that the most, where it's like, oh yeah, the moment where I don't have to be here, yeah, I know I do stuff, but yet I think when people went home, worked from home, productivity went up, and they were
Yeah,
like, that's weird.
that's
It's
weird.
like, yeah,
It's not weird actually. It's
it's not weird. It's because I'm
all
not
based
wasting
in
time. It's
science.
either I'm essentially doing everything I need to get things done. I don't have to distract myself. I'm not wasting time
I think it's
getting
weird
ready,
in
worrying about all the
America.
stuff.
But we've had statistics about shorter work weeks being more productive from like European countries for over
Mhm.
a decade now. And we've had multiple documentaries come out that talked about various European companies and how they
Yeah.
work, 20, 25 to 30 hours a week. And I actually read an article several months ago that talked about
Huh.
how the average I don't like saying American, but in the article it said American. The
Why
average
don't you like saying American?
because
We can get to that later.
America includes South America and North
Yeah.
America.
Yeah,
So-
but we all know that that's who they meant.
right.
Look,
Anyways,
there's
but
hierarchies of Americas, and they're not number one.
they,
Like they know that.
but the article talked about how in America the average office worker, it was talking about office workers specifically. The average office worker only works 25 hours. 25 hours a week. And that includes or that discludes, I guess is the correct term. It discludes their lunch hour and things like that. So they would come to work and you spend a decent amount of time chatting and
Mhm.
catching up about the weekend and on your phone and doing this and going to the bathroom and then you go for lunch and so like each day is 8 hours, but you're only working about 5 to 6 of those hours actually doing actual real life work. And what people found was that during COVID, when you had to work from home all of a sudden, people were taking breaks and playing video games and doing whatever, but productivity went up because you didn't have anybody to chat with. Like, your bathroom is right there. You didn't have to get up and prepare to go to work. You were already at work. Like, you just walk to your computer and start working. And if you were like, I need to take a break or I'm hungry, you could just eat at your computer. Like I don't know. I think it's really bizarre that we even still have 40-hour work weeks. And there's two things I want to talk about. One thing is, I read another article several months ago about a company, I think it was in Texas, and they, in that company, their policy was you couldn't move up unless, the people on your level, your peers actually voted for their supervisor. So like supervisors weren't promoted by supervisors.
Yeah.
Supervisors were raised up by their peers. So you always chose who you wanted your boss to be, which works out way better than the person who's kissing everybody's butt and then that's how they get moved up.
Yes.
And I was
And
wow. That's crazy.
I can see that really working, especially if it has to meet a certain threshold. But I can also see that being very unproductive. Yes. Because, like, that at every workplace I've seen cliques form. I've seen these things. And, like, one of the mentors I had in college, he explained this perfectly. He was like, look, when you're at a job, you don't want to be a part of the work politics. You don't want to have to be a part of the gossip, but you need to know what the gossip is. And it's like, and at first I like never could grasp that. I was like, no, why would I do the gossip? I just need to do my job because like the gossip is what affects how you're perceived, how you work. All of your opportunities are based on what people view and say about you. And so, like, it's just something like that's inherent. And when you work from home, yeah, you don't have to work from that. But I feel that in that situation where it's like, oh, I have to promote all my employees up. If you have a lot of good employees, sure, that'll work. If you have people who are very much focused on trying to be productive, but I feel like that's not most people.
No,
I feel
it's
like
not.
that is a very dedicated team of people who actually care about what they're doing.
The second
It's
thing.
so-
Oh wait, no, Allie, you talk.
I was gonna say it's so crazy what you're saying about work culture because I feel like you can have. I feel like this. I'm speaking from my perspective, of course, but I always feel like I come to my boss with these like really amazing, cool ideas, and he's like, "That idea is awesome, but I've worked here for 15 years and I know what the culture is, and this won't be successful here because of X, Y, Z, so we can't do it." And it's like I know that he's right. I know he's like protecting me and like what he's saying, but it's so hard for me to grasp it because of like work politics. This like really amazing thing can't be done. But if we were like in the city or in a different state, like it would be awesome.
And that really like
I hate that. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, like work politics. That is like I tell people all the time, when you get more to an office job or everything, the work you do, the little thing you got hired for is like 10-20% of your job.
Yeah.
The majority of your job is understanding the work politics so you can actually move things and get things going.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I am much rather just sit there and be like, look, just give me a project. I'll do the thing. I'll make things work. And then
I want to
I'll
like
move on.
take a class and like how to be good at it. Like I feel like I'm struggling so much to like fit into this work culture, and I so badly want like a mentor or like a mother, like a work mother, like teach me how to like interact with these people and like get done what I need to get done. Cause
I'll be your work mother.
Yeah, he'll show you. He'll just sit there and be like, "This is the things you need to say to make people do what you want."
Yeah, I need a consultant. You can hire me as a consultant.
Oh my god. Okay, speaking
of
consultants.
Also, I'm just bringing this up right now. I brought Connor on as a consultant for our company.
Okay. All right, whatever.
Yay! Now the whole internet knows. Yay!
Yay! But it's a mutual. We get. Don't. Yeah, we know. But
he sponsored this chocolate.
He sponsored this chocolate, Dad. But so I was thinking about like when you were like, oh man, you could be a consultant. I was like, man, honestly, when I look at stuff, there's just a whole bunch of inefficiencies in workplaces. Like the thing I most commonly see is like you could sit there and get rid of most people in any workplace and the place will run perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because there's only like a handful of people who are actually making things go. And if you have the ability to identify those things and sit there and say, okay, we're going to remove all these people, we're going to add some few people here. And they basically say, hey, you just do what this person says. They'll go. Like I've watched in like different places where it was just like one person's just running a whole department. And it's just like, this person is amazing. This person is just sitting there doing everything else. Right. But behind that one person is like 10 people are just kind of like,
yeah.
And I'm like, and that was like the hardest thing for me to wrap my head around, like getting into work culture, was understanding how like that exists.
There's some people who are they're like nexuses in the workplace, and like nobody touches those people.
No, that's not true, because sometimes they do, and it's like, wait, this person does everything. Without this person, none of this stuff works.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like they're almost untouchable. Like I'm not saying they are untouchable.
Yeah.
I'm saying like they're almost untouchable in the sense that you're like, don't mess with them. Just let them keep working themselves into the grave. Like,
yes.
I'm gonna sit here and reap their benefits, but let them work to the bones.
What blows my mind is that sometimes people would sit there and be like, well, yeah, they're working themselves to the bone, but I just don't like this person, so I'm about to just get rid of them. And it's like, you understand that when you do that, you don't function anymore. Your whole thing falls apart. Right. And they don't understand. Like, people not grasping that concept blows my mind. Like, it's like, you're a supervisor, you got into this position solely so you can see all these things. And I'm like, I can clearly see this. Everyone else around you can clearly see this. Why can't you? But
okay, you want to know one thing that doesn't keep me up at night? However, something I think about pretty regularly. Artificial intelligence, baby.
Yeah.
So
No more supervisors. The AI manages everything.
Right. Yeah. I'm genuinely curious, and we probably don't have enough time to really have a deep conversation about
It's
this.
okay. It's next topic.
I really am curious to see what happens with the introduction of not general AI, but specific AI designed for specific tasks.
We already have that.
We already have that. I know. I'm talking about implementing it into the workforce, and I'm not saying I'm when I say implement, I mean like wholly implement, like the way we use computers or cell phones. Like,
And so, I understand what you mean, but there's already cases where
yeah,
AI have started
there's
to write articles.
cases. What I'm saying is wholly implemented. So
Okay, then let's do that. Explain what wholly implemented
right.
is there.
So I'm saying like the same way you get into your car, because cars have been fully implemented into the United States. That's the kind of implementation I'm talking about. So like you don't think twice about using artificial intelligence because it's wholly implemented into society. What I'm trying to understand, and I have no idea what's going to happen, is what happens when artificial intelligence is wholly implemented into the workforce. And the reason I struggle with that is because many people think that artificial intelligence is going to take human jobs. Hashtag it will. And when that happens, some people will push back and say, we have to stop using artificial intelligence because people need to work in order to make money, which
No, they won't.
which on some level I agree with. However, I think that we're going to struggle for a while because our not the workforce, the people who run the workforce simply aren't creative enough. Either aren't creative enough or don't have the resources to recreate jobs that support artificial intelligence. And I say that because let's just run a little scenario. Let's say that we create general AI and we implement artificial intelligence into any job that can use an artificial intelligent, robot or whatever.
Right.
I would guess that that's roughly 60% of the human workforce suddenly are out of a job. It would be more than that, but that would be a safe bet. Would be 60% of the current workforce. That's a lot of people who don't have a job now.
So I would say that one, there's a whole video by CP Gray about humans need not apply. It's an interesting video. Watch it later. I think I probably showed you before, but that 60% number is just in transportation. If we get self-driving cars to work, 60% of people are out of job because 60% of people work in transportation of moving things from one place to another. That's all your trail workers, all your taxis, all your Ubers, all the things that shipping, all that stuff, all gone. And that's a majority. That's one gone. Two, what people, and this is something I even thought of. I was watching another video where what would probably happen is you assume that people will say, oh, people need to work, so basically we can continue having a functioning society and economy, right? You would agree to that. That's not inherently
not
true.
necessarily, because what I would want to happen would be the introduction of a UBI. What I would really love would be a pseudo WALL-E world. WALL-E.
Wally. I was talking about this the other day at work about how WALL-E had his system. They were just chilling in space.
They were just chilling in space. And I'm not saying I want that exactly. WALL-E, the Pixar movie?
Huh?
The little robot that found a flower and loved the sleep robot?
Okay. You seen the movie WALL-E from Pixar?
WALL-E.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of society we're talking about, where artificial intelligence does all of the jobs that humans would do. And so humans don't have to do anything. They just chill and let artificial intelligence run everything, which is fine. However,
I don't think that's what will happen.
I don't think that's what would happen either. I think greed would surely take over some of the people who are in control of certain technologies. And I think we would be introduced to another version of slavery. Nope. And I'm just talking about my predictions. I think we would enter another version of slavery. I think what I would love to see would be the introduction of a UBI where people don't have to work. They just get a basic income each month. And then if they do work, then they can, supplement that basic income with additional things that they do. I think that at some point, new jobs that don't exist now will start to exist. I think society will go through probably a phase of like 100 years of change where things will start to shift up. And it'll probably look like some of the not post-apocalyptic, but some of the movies that we've seen, like Alita Battle Angel, where there's this, higher society and this lower society. I think it'll start to look similar to some of those kind of movies. Mm-hmm. Not exactly, but similar. And eventually things will start to balance out. I think what is really going to take is for people to wholly accept artificial intelligence as just run everything.
I think that end result that you think is just going to happen almost immediately, because what's going to get to is the people who control the AI and the robots or whatever, basically just trading with each other and not caring about anyone else.
Yeah,
because
I agree with that.
At that point, I don't need you, and if I don't need you, I'm not going to do anything, and then we'll just have like basically everyone's just starving and trying to struggle for survival.
Right.
And I don't think they will probably even make it. It's a very sad and depressing future, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think the government will step in before that happens, but there's a chance that they don't. I mean, they haven't yet.
When I was driving home from work the other day, I was really thinking how, like, I'm really ready for, like, the internet to die and us to go back to, like
internet good.
Like, basic civilization, please.
No.
Like, rudimentary.
I think that we have a great opportunity to implement technology in such a way that people can work 20 hours a week reasonably and get a paycheck and then embrace the arts. And I think that if people
when I'm saying I want the internet to die, it's not because I want the arts to be embraced necessarily, but I want to go back to
community.
Not even that, like simpler processes. Like I want to be able to like know how to grow my own food, and I want to know how to build a boat or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to know like how different seasons affect like how trees grow, or like things that I'm so disconnected from.
You can do that. You can do that on your own.
Can do that. We can show you.
That unless I'm forced to do it, okay? So
this is a willpower question.
Yeah, see, that sounds like a personal problem.
This sounds like one day we're gonna have a trip. We're gonna like, Allie, come with us. We're gonna show you how to make a boat. We're gonna show you how to do.
Yeah, that sounds like you just want to go camping.
Go camping, Allie. Yeah, Allie.
Listen, Allie, we can go camping.
Everyone loves camping.
That's fine.
We can. I'm already working on it for other people. I'm going to make a camping trip that you will love, and you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be great, and I promise. You're going to enjoy
on the longevity of Project Embrace. We will take you camping.
But
2025.
But I need the internet. Like my entire life. Everything is based around the internet, and if I lose it, I would not know who I would be without the internet. I've been on the internet since I was 5. Like my entire. What do you mean? Look, it's great.
Your personality can't be the internet.
My personality is not the internet, but a large part of my personality, a large part of my friend group, a large part of my knowledge and how I function is solely dedicated to the internet. Like I said, I've been on the internet since I was 5 years old, and like for our age group, that's not as normal. I'm pretty much for like the newer age, that's just duh. Like, but for me, like,
Yeah.
I was on the internet before I could spell because I could barely spell because I was breaking down like Cartoon Network by like net, and I could spell these little tiny words and I put them together so I could get to where I need to go. And like I said,
And that's not inherently bad either.
No, it's not. A lot of my friends I met on the internet, a lot of the ideas that I formed and opinions that I got that made me who I am were made and forged on the internet. It was done on those weird chat rooms that I was supposed to be on. And like, it made me who I am, and I'm great. I appreciate it so much. Literally, the sole reason me and Bracy became
yeah, that's true. That is so funny.
The only
that's
reason
true.
me and Bracy are friends is because of the internet.
The only reason we're currently friends is because of the internet.
Yes.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. Like there's not enough research behind screen time of the newest generations. However, I would agree that if done right, the internet could serve a much grander purpose in shaping society for the better. Currently, because it's so based in business, a lot of it is so toxic, which just sucks.
It is. It really, and this is also another thing. Like, the internet has really changed from when like its early days.
Yeah.
Like, you can even take things like YouTube. YouTube used to be very different. You used to find so many just weird.
Yeah.
Like I said,
it was almost like Reels before Reels.
Like, the way me and Bracy like really connected as friends is because we both watched the same weird internet YouTube videos, and I was walking by and I was like, wait a minute. But it was just like
that old YouTube.
That old YouTube where it was just people like us doing things like this, where we're just like, I'm just gonna be weird with my friends and I'm gonna put it online to share.
Hashtag anybody can go back and back through the Embrace archives and find some of those videos if you want to have a good time.
We're not doing that. We're not going back. We put the past behind us. But towards Bracy's point, I not only view this with the internet, I view this with all technology, and this is my more so passion and my like core belief. I feel that we as a society, we need to focus on advancing and moving forward. We don't really do that anymore. We're very much about trying to maintain or react to whatever's going on right now. There's been I feel like it's been a long time since anyone's really thought about taking those next steps into what we want to evolve into as humanity. Like, I, weird space guy, really feel passionate about, like, I feel we should still go into space. It's kind of an inevitability. We have to go to space. It's not we're doing all these things. If we want to move forward, if we want to advance, this is just the next step we need to do. If you want to solve a lot of the problems that we are going to face as humanity, we need to go into space. We need to go and solve other problems.
No.
You want to sit there and figure out how can we become zero carbon or become like a super clean energy? You need to go to space and build a Dyson sphere. Like, that's the thing. Create almost untold levels of energy that we can then use to sit there and power whatever we want. These are the things that I personally want to push and move forward. And then, I haven't been doing it mainly because, I like watching anime and eating ice cream. So...
But I agree. I think that, I think that society has. So technology is nothing but tools.
Yes.
And I always think of technology as the progress of tools. And so technology isn't like a phone. It's the progress, right? It's a tool, and how is that tool evolving? So like a hammer evolving over centuries is technology, and that's the growth of technology. And in the same way that
Like,
the internet and Facebook and all these other things, I think that tools can be used well, or they can be used as weapons. And Denzel asked or said, like, is it toxic? And it is, because these business models have designed it to be so.
It's the business models. I think
like,
it's us. I think it's people.
No. So yes, it is people. However, there's a capitalizing on the human nature.
The nature.
Yes.
Okay.
Where
I see what you're saying.
Where they could have done it differently and promoted a more positive human nature, then instead humans might have shifted their human nature over the last decade to be more positive in general. However, instead of aiming for a shift, they went for what they knew would make money, which makes sense. Like, it's a business. Like, I get it. However, it's divided our country into very tiny slivers. So I don't know. I would say watch The Social Dilemma if you haven't watched it already. It's a really interesting. I've taken a couple classes on social media and such. It's really, really fascinating. And
one day we have to talk about that.
Yeah, social media. Yeah.
Maybe that'll be our finale.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
We could do it. We'll have confetti poppers and everything.
Yeah, the finale.
Popcorn?
So are we gonna do an in-person finale?
I don't mind, but I'm not the biggest travel person.
Right.
You should let us come to your house and do a in-person.
Okay, we can do it if we do it early, because we can talk about this after the podcast.
Okay, I guess that's fair. No podcast next week, party peeps. Unless y'all wanna.
It's Golden Week.
Yeah, that's true. It is Golden Week. Okay, so yeah, no podcast next week. We will be back. What?
Actually, this week is Golden Week. Whatever. We'll be back.
That's true.
Go ahead.
We're celebrating Golden Week next week.
Yes.
What is Golden Week?
It's a Japanese holiday.
Okay. So we will be back the 16th for all of those who are curious.
Yeah.
And
be there.
This has been
The
Real Deal.
I'll find you.
Wow. You said so calm.
He did.
Bye-bye now.